Welcome back to Beyond the Numbers. Hi, I'm Omolola Astrop, and this episode is a continuation of our last episode. Before we do anything else, the link to download this episode's dataset is in the description below. Click it now, download the dataset called mentorship_db_setup.sql, open it in DBeaver and run it. It takes just about 5 seconds, and if you haven't installed DBeaver or MySQL yet, there's a setup guide in the same GitHub folder. Here's the thing. If you just watch this episode without writing the queries yourself, you might forget everything by tomorrow or next tomorrow. So I'd like to let you know that data analytics is an hands-on skill. So pause right now, get the file, then you can come back. Okay, so let's get started. In this episode, you're going from zero SQL to pulling real business insights in under 20 minutes. We're using a simulated banking data, real tables, real questions, and every query we write will end with the most important habit in data analytics, which is answering the question, so what? If you'd remember that in the last episode, we talked about three things. We said a data analyst is not someone who runs queries or makes charts. A data analyst is actually someone who finds story inside the data. We also said SQL is one of the most important single skill to learn if you want to work in data. Nothing else comes close to it. Then we also mentioned that every query you write must end with a question in your mind. So what? Not just what the data says, but what it means and what businesses or organizations should do about what it means. That is the rule on this channel, and we're enforcing it. So always keep at the back of your mind that everything you're going to do in data, you should have it as, okay, after what the data is talking about, then so what? What are we expected to do? By the end of this episode, you're going to understand every single word of the query you have here. Look at it. All the queries you have in this place, select, you're going to understand what it means. So, right now, I know they look like it may be something noisy, but I assure you, you'll understand it as we move on. So look at it before we move into the queries and all the SQL commands. I just want you to have a look at what we are working with, what it looks like. We have, think of the mentorship data that I talked about. Think of it as a simulated database, and every table and every column reflects real banking data, the way it is structured. So we have four tables. We have the customers table, which is here. This is just a snapshot of the customer table where we have the name, we have the state, we have the account type, we have the date the customer joined the bank, right? Then the next table, which is the branches, you can see here that we have uh, how many branches we have. We have 15 branches in the data set. We have those branches grouped into the southwest, the north, the southeast, and the south-south region. Then you also have the third table, which is a transaction table. This table has about 186 transactions. Every deposit, withdrawal, the transfer. This is where the money story lives. Okay. Then we have the products. The product, it is assumed that the bank has about 76 products, which we have the loans, we have the fixed deposits, we have the savings accounts, and we have the current accounts. So if you open your database, which you have downloaded, you are going to see all what I've explained here. Every SQL query you'll ever write, whether it's 2 or 50 lines, follow the same structure. Select tells the database which columns you want to see. From tells it which table to look in. And where filters the rows down to only what you need, while order by sorts your results. Now, here's something that trips up almost every beginner, and I want to address this early. SQL does not execute in the order that you write it. What do I mean? You write select first, but SQL executes from first. So the actual execution order is from to where, then select, then order by. Why does this matter? Because if you try to filter on a column alias you created in select, SQL will not find it. It hasn't run select yet. We'll see this in practice as we go further. But for now, just hold on to what I just told you, that SQL will start from. One more thing before we write our first query that I want you to notice. You might have seen select asterisk. Sometimes you see some people write select and you see asterisk. It runs every single column in your table. So that is why you have to be very conscious of it. If you are writing select column 1, column 2, it will only see column 1 and column 2. However, if you write select asterisk, it brings out all the columns in your table. So in your real analytical work, I'll advise that you be cautious in doing this. Always name the columns that you want to see. It is faster, it is cleaner, and it tells anyone reading your query exactly where what you are after. Unless you want to see a lot of columns at once. Let's say you have in your data you have over 300 variables and you want to see about 100 of them at once, then you can just select asterisk and you drop the ones you don't want to see. However, it is always easier to name the columns you want to see. So our first business question, and every query on this channel starts with a business question, not an SQL command. So I want you to have that at the back of your mind, that what you have in your mind at first is a question. And for this in this context, the business question is, what are the names and states of all our customers? So we want to see the names and the states where they are. So I'm going to say it's simple, but it's important. So before you segment customers, target a campaign, or analyze behavior, you need to know who is in the database and where they are. So that's the way you start to think as a data analyst. So here is the query. Select name, state, then from where, from which table. Just these two lines, select name, comma, state. Those are the two columns you want to see, name and state. From customers, that's the table they live in. Then it's going to show you, if you run it the way I've explained to you how to run your data and everything, you're going to see 40 rows, every customer, name, and their states. And it's going to appear like this. Chukwuemeka Obi, Lagos, Fatima Liu Kano, and you see it. Now that you are saying that, what next? So the query gives us the full customer list. It confirms we have 40 customers across multiple states. That's useful on its own, but not very detailed as you'd want it as a data analyst. But the first check you run before any segmentation of campaign analysis is, okay, I want to see it, which you have done. Now you need to know who exists before you can ask deeper questions about them. Okay? Then we move on. We want to filter now. And this is where SQL starts to get genuinely useful information. The business question now is, how many customers do we have in Lagos with savings accounts? The first thing is, we saw all the customers and where they are. Now the next question goes further to ask, how many of them do we have in Lagos? And out of the people that we have in Lagos, how many of them have savings accounts. Remember that we have several products. Then, not all customers, not all Lagos customers, specifically Lagos customers with savings accounts. The precision is what where, the command where gives us. And here is the query again. Select name, account type, date joined from table of customers, where if the state is Lagos and the account type is savings, then order by the date joined. So two things for you to notice here. First thing, text values go inside single quotes. You can see my Lagos is in quotes. Savings is a text value and it's in quotes. Numbers do not need quotes. If I was filtering by amounts, I'd write amounts greater than 1 million, no quotes. For instance, greater than 1 million. Then the second thing I want you to notice, and narrows the results. That means both conditions must be true. That means the condition of state and the condition of account type, the two of them have to be true. If I used or instead, it will return either Lagos customers or savings accounts, which is a much bigger list. Now, if you run this, it's going to see, what you're going to see is this table. About 10 rows of them. 10 customers in Lagos with savings accounts, and this is exactly what you want. So I'll expect that you run this and you'll get the same result. Now, the difference between and or, I've explained it. If you change it to or, you're going to see that you have a bigger table with more customers in it. Now, for a loyalty campaign, for instance, for a fee or a fixed deposit upsell, this is your starting list. If you have sent the 40 customers to your campaign team, it becomes like a noise to them. You have not given them what is useful to them. So SQL gives you precision to not waste money. It gives you a very, very precise result. Now, moving forward, this is where it gets more interesting. And this is your first aggregation. The business question here is, how many customers do we have in each state? And which state has the most? Initially, we went from how many customers do we have, and we want to see the distribution of the states. Then we went further to say, how many customers do we have in Lagos that have savings accounts? Now we want to see how many customers do we have in each state and which state has the most. So as you're doing this, you are thinking for your marketing team or whoever is going to design a kind of campaign, which states should we focus on based on the number of customers that we have? That's how a data analyst will think. So to answer this question, we need two things. Group all the customers by states, then count how many are in each group. And here is the query. Select states, count customer ID as num, number of customers. So you are creating this variable now. From the table customers, group by state, order by number of customers in descending order. So group by is a new clause we haven't seen yet. We just brought it in. And what it does is it collapses all the rows that share the same state into a single row. So instead of 40 individual rows, we get one new row per state. Then count shows how many original rows were in each group. The ask keyword that you have here, it gives count column a readable name. So count is now being named as num customers, which is here. And without it, the column header would say count of customer ID, which looks ugly. It's correct, but it doesn't look neat. So always alias your aggregations. Now, if you write this, this is what you're going to see. And you're going to see Lagos has 12 customers, Kano has 5 customers, Abuja, Kaduna, Enugu, and it goes on like that. Now, the next one is we have your slide here, and I want you to practice all what I've said from the beginning. And you have to do it that when you practice it, I want you to see your result, run it, and answer these 3 questions. What does the result show? What does it mean? What should the business do? Okay? Please do all this, and I want you to drop your answer in the comments, and I will tell you if your so what, which is what should business do, if it is good enough, if it is strong enough, because the so what is important in data analytic work. Now going forward, this is your quick reference. Every clause that we have covered today, we have talked about the select, which chooses columns to return. We talked about from, to pick your table. We talked about where, to filter your rows. We talked about and or, which is used to combine your filters. We talked about group by for summarizing. We talked about count for counting rows per group. We talked about order by desk, which is sort in descending order. That means highest first down to the lowest number. Then we talked about limits, which caps your results. Now, in the next episode, we're going to talk about combining 2 tables to unlock deeper insights from banking data or any kind of data. So thank you very much. That's episode 2 of what we have done. And the next one I'm going to talk about is we're going to move further to talk about using the SQL joins, like I said earlier, to answer real questions. So in summary, today you went from 0 to 3 business queries using banking data: select, from, where, group by, count, and order by. And more importantly, you now know what those queries are for, not just how to write them, why you are going to write them, and what you do with the results. So before I go, make sure you do your homework, which is running the practice query from slide 8 if you haven't already, and post your so what in the comments. 3 sentences minimum, what it shows you, what it means, and what the bank should do. Thank you very much. If you have found this useful, kindly subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Share it to someone learning data analytics. There are not enough resources built for our context, but we'll keep trying. Thank you very much. See ya. Bye. Once again, I'm Amolala Astrop from Beyond the Numbers.